And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Romine versus Reynolds. Step forward.
22-year-old clerical worker Catherine Romine is suing her former roommate, 22-year-old medical assistant Jessica Reynolds, for unpaid rent and utility bills. Jessica says she's paid more than her share.
Miss Romine, Miss Reynolds was a friend of yours.
Yes.
Since high school?
Since high school, yes, 9th grade.
And she moved into your home in December of 2003, is that right?
Yes.
And you claim she moved out, owing you money for rent and some other things. And Miss Reynolds says she owes you nothing. She paid all of the expenses that she should have paid when she was there. When she moved in December of 2003, what kind of arrangement did you have with her?
Well, in December, we still had my old roommate, and he was moving out in January 2004. So the agreement in December was for her to pay 1/3 of all utilities and the rent. And thereafter, January 2004 and on, she was supposed to pay half of everything.
Okay. Is that correct?
Yes.
And did she pay 1/3 of the rent and utilities in December?
Only 1/3 of the rent in December.
And the gas and electric.
Okay.
Which was under her name.
No, it was under my name till January.
Okay. Did she pay her half in January?
Only the rent.
How much was your share of the rent, Miss Reynolds?
$447.50.
What about February?
Yes.
When did you move out, Miss Reynolds?
Weekend of March 1st.
Is that right?
She moved out February 29th, and she was supposed to move out on March 4th. So she did not pay those 4 days of rent.
What 4 days?
She had her 3-day notice on February 4th, and she was supposed to move out on March 4th, but she moved out on February 29th, and she did not pay the 4 days of rent that she was supposed to.
So you want her to pay the rent for the 4 days into March 4th?
Yes, because my witness, Karina Valoni, was supposed to move in right after Jessica moved out, which was March 1st.
Yes.
But she came into the apartment, and it was still cluttered with Jessica's trash.
Step up. Were you taking over as roommate?
I was at the time, yes.
What's your name?
Karina Valoni.
Ms. Valoni, describe the room when you saw the room on March 1st.
Well, when I walked in, there was a gift bag, like a small gift bag with trash and broken glass in it, and there were various trash items on the floor. And in the bathroom, there was normal dirt, but beyond the dirt, there were dirty underwear in the bathtub. There were various things in the cupboards. In all of the cupboards, there were things.
Okay. When did you come back to get your stuff?
I put my 30-day notice in February 4th. I left February 4th. I paid my rent, and I went to live with my mom.
Just a second. Listen to me. When did you get out all of your things?
February 29th.
So the things that were in the room on March the 1st was discarded trash. Is that what you're telling me?
There wasn't.
Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
The stuff that was there was discarded trash.
In a bag.
Oh, it's not just a bag. She's described to me not just a bag.
She's lying.
No, I don't think she's lying. All right, now I understand. And when did you finally clean up the room?
She said that she would come back, and she had until the 4th to actually clean it up. And she never came.
I tried to come back. We talked about the bills, and I asked her to pay her part of the gas and electric. She called me an F and hung up the phone on me.
Okay.
And Miss Valoni moved in. She was living there the whole month of February. And she moved her stuff in. She moved her stuff in the weekend that I moved my stuff out.
No,
I came.
Where was she?
I would come once in a while.
I'm speaking. I can't talk over you. In what room was she staying?
In the couch, in the living room, in the room during the week.
I don't know.
She lived too far.
That doesn't have anything to do with you. You had a room. You didn't empty out your room.
But I did move my stuff out the last weekend of February. And she moved her stuff in already. Okay. She was living there the 4 days.
I heard you. What else?
I'm also suing her for the return payment from Cox. When she lent me the money, I paid her back about a week later.
She lent you some money. You paid her back?
Yes.
And what was she supposed to do with the money that she was lending you?
Pay a cable bill for me. She offered.
And how much was the cable bill?
The cable bill was $315.98.
And you paid that cable bill for her?
I called and I made a telecheck over the phone transfer. And Cox Cable made a mistake and they didn't debit it out of my account.
Okay, so she paid you back, so you owe her $315. I'm speaking. So you owe her $315. Is that right?
I feel that for all the food that she consumed, the toiletries, everything that I bought, the laundry, the expenses, my SDG
I don't care what you feel. Listen, I don't care what you feel.
I
don't listen to me. I don't care what you feel.
I have a SDG bill here that she never paid part of.
How much is that for?
It's $450.
Show it to her.
$80 deposit, which was kept, and $70 for the month of February, which I wasn't living there.
Yes?
I never disputed not to pay, and I
I
wrote my
never
letter.
disputed.
And how much do you owe her?
Half of the bill.
And what is that?
$100.
That doesn't, I'm
No.
sorry, but that thing says $70.
Just a second. Listen to me.
$80 deposit.
Listen to me. Sit down.
It doesn't say that on there.
$80 deposit. I had to pay
You
$80
have
deposit,
served
deposit
your
to open
purpose.
it. I had to give an $80 deposit.
Then you should get it back.
I can't get it back because it's for the month of January and February. They took that back. And this is the remainder of what's owed from January and February. And which also carpet cleaning, I paid $55 for because when I moved in, the carpet was completely filthy and disgusting.
Listen to me. I'm not your mother. I'm not your mother, I'm not her mother, and I have absolutely no intention of being the monitor over your $15 bills. She owes you for the 4 days through March 4th. Yes. I absolutely agree that she does. And she owes you the $315 that was not debited from her account, for which you reimbursed her for your cable bill, and $35, which is your share of the utility bill, $340. Judgment for the plaintiff. That's all. Step out.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Me and Catherine have been best friends since 9th grade.
I never meant for this friendship to end.
If it had to come to this, and that's our home bitterness.
She couldn't just go ahead and pay her dues. We had to actually
tried
go on
to.
TV.
You didn't let
Can you
me.
shut up because
No, I tried
talking.
to. She's a bitter person, obviously. She accused me of sleeping with her ex-boyfriend.
Maybe you did.
Civil engineer David Fletcher is suing his ex-girlfriend, admissions clerk Brenda Manus, for illegally cashing a check and for attorney fees. Brenda says David was stalking her.
Yes, case number 345 on the calendar in the matter of Fletcher versus Manus. As Ms. Warner, judge, you may be seated. Ladies, have a seat, please.
Mr. Fletcher, you and the defendant used to date.
Yes, ma'am.
And there came a time when, according to your complaint, the defendant had accused you of being unfaithful.
Yes, ma'am.
And you said to her, it's not true. Here's a blank check. I'm signing it. You take this blank check and go hire yourself a private investigator and investigate me.
Yep.
So far, is that right?
Yes.
So she took the blank check, she filled it out, made it payable to herself for a couple of $1,000s.
Mm-hmm. Ma'am?
Who did you make it payable to?
He made it payable to me.
Oh.
He put my name in it.
Fine. You just filled in the amount.
Yes, ma'am.
Then things didn't go well. She accused you of stalking her. Mm-hmm. You were arrested, had to hire a lawyer. Those charges were subsequently dismissed. So you want the $2,000 back from the check and the attorney's fees.
That's correct.
Ms. Main says she cashed that check and wrote in $2,000 because she had to be taught a lesson not to be such an idiot. I mean, she doesn't say that, but that's about what she said. And that she had a grounds to file a complaint for stalking because you were, in fact, stalking her and making her very uncomfortable. Was he stalking you because he wanted his money back?
He never asked for the money back, Your Honor.
Never?
No.
When, for the first time, did he ask for the money back?
I received
let's say,
a letter
let's start from the
work.
beginning. When did he give you the check?
It was end of April, first part of May.
Can I see a copy of the check, please?
Yes, ma'am. I put together this, and it's got an index with all the fingers. Do you just want that?
Listen to me. I'm not as young as I used to be.
Okay.
Just give me a copy of the check.
There's some other stuff stapled to it.
April 6th. But that's the date on the check. And it was cashed?
In the upper right-hand corner there, it's the 8th of April, is when it actually transpired through the bank.
2 days later. Didn't waste any time.
No.
What'd you do with all the money?
I paid a bill of my daughter's.
Mm-hmm.
And that's about it.
Okay, then I have here some emails. You were hell-bent to give me these things anyway. This one is dated Thursday, April 8th, 9:14 a.m. From you. No, David, I'm not going to hire a PI with your money, but I'm going to hold on to your money for a couple of months so you can sweat a little. That should be long enough to teach you a lesson on giving someone a blank check. By the way, I cashed it for $2,000, and you did have money in the account. You're lucky I didn't cash it for $10,000 like someone suggested. You lied to me about how much money was in your account, so you must not trust me. I hate liars, and once I'm lied to, I have a hard time believing anything that a person says to me in the future. How much after that did you break up with him?
We were broke up.
2 days later after he gave you the check?
Prior to the check.
You're not a nice person.
Maybe not.
Well, you're right. Well, I'm glad if somebody knows themselves. That's the first step to self-healing. I mean, you took advantage of him.
I don't feel that I did, Your Honor.
You don't feel as if you took advantage of him. He gave you this check for what reason? He gave you the check and said, I haven't been doing the wrong thing. I have been doing the right thing. Here, take this. You should have taken it, ripped it in 10 pieces and say, listen, David, it's over. I'm not interested in you. Instead, you took the check, you cashed the check, you went and bought yourself something, you paid a bill for your daughter, and then, after you told me, I'm going to hold on to the money for a couple of months. That's what you said to him. So far, you owe him $2,000.
Excuse me?
So far, you owe him $2,000 because you said you were going to give it back to him. That's what you said in the email. That's your email. That's what you said. You said, I'm going
to me?
I don't care what he wrote to you. You told him that I'm going to hold on to it long enough to teach you a lesson. Did you learn your lesson?
Yes, ma'am, unfortunately.
Now, can I see when you filed stalking charges against him? Did you continue to send her letters and emails and flowers?
Well, what I'd like to do is present my evidence on this, if I could.
Listen to
While
me.
we were dating, I did.
Listen to me.
When we were
Listen to me. Watch me. After she cashed this check, did you send her flowers?
The last flowers I sent her was the first or second week of April. After the check, we were broke up for like a week. We got back together, and I have emails that she has communicated with me.
When you say you got back together, did you take her out for dinner?
We went out to dinner, and I have my business partner here that came over to Gold Beach, and she'd actually went out to dinner with us.
After April 8th?
After, yes.
Okay. Now, when did you tell him that you didn't want him calling you anymore?
I can answer that.
Go ahead.
It was May 19th, and I have the last email correspondence that I actually had with her.
Can I see it, please?
Yes, ma'am. This was the last correspondence. That's when she told me that she had a boyfriend and I was cramping her style, evidently.
I don't say
May
cramping
19th.
style.
And from that point on, I had no more contact with her, other than after I got served with a stalking order, which I got served. That was May 19th. And I had a hospital appointment. I had to have some surgery done at the hospital there. She works there, and bumped into me. And after I got done with my surgery and I got home, the next thing I know, I'm getting served with a stalking order. And that was, I hadn't saw her for almost a month.
How come you never told the police that you ripped him off for $2,000? I don't see that anywhere here.
Your Honor, I didn't rip him off for
Yes, you
$2,000.
did.
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't.
Oh, you did.
Okay.
Oh, you did.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. David Fletcher claims ex-girlfriend Brenda Manus owes for illegally cashing a check and for falsely accusing him of stalking.
Now, he didn't make you a gift. He didn't make you a loan. It was clear that he was trying to be a boyfriend and gave you this check. And initially, put your hand down. Initially, what you said was, 2 days after you cashed the check was, I'm just going to hold on to it for a couple of months to teach you a lesson, not to be a fool and give somebody a blank check. Somewhere along the line, you changed your mind after you spent the money. So my question to you is, how come you didn't tell the police when you filed these charges against him, not for threatening you in any way, just he sent you emails, he sent you flowers, then he called you. How come you didn't say anywhere in any of these statements that I took $2,000 from his bank account? You didn't think that was relevant?
Nope.
No. And how come you didn't, if you thought that he was stalking you, how come you didn't say to yourself, maybe if I give him back the $2,000 that I took from him and made a fool out of him, maybe he would leave me alone and wouldn't bother me. And here's the $2,000 because he says to you in an email, why don't you just give me back my $2,000? I'll leave a deposit slip for you. What are you looking at me? Am I speaking a foreign language to you?
I would like to see that. I don't recall that.
Sure.
Thank you.
How much was your lawyer?
$712.
$712, did you say?
Yeah.
Refresh your recollection now? When he says, I'll leave you a deposit slip, please put my money back in my account. When did you do that, Miss Maines?
When did I put the money back in his account?
Yeah.
I did not.
And if somebody was stalking me, if someone was following me around, if someone was coming to my place of business, I would say, gee, I want to remove any irritant that might exist with that person because they feel like a fool. Not a nice person. You were right at the beginning. First statement was right. You are not. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,712. You don't abuse the courts by filing stalking petitions when you've done the wrong thing. Goodbye.
Why is that excuse? You may step out.
He's mad because I filed the stalking order on him.
No, there was no stalking.
He emailed me constantly. I blocked his email.
Only part of the hateful part was the part that she told me when she had a boyfriend.
Called 2 and 3 times a week.
I emailed her back and I told her what I thought of her leading me on like that.
He would not leave me alone.
She basically wrote the check for more than she was supposed to.
He gave it to me.
It was supposed to be paid back. It wasn't paid back.
Was never asked to be returned.
There'll be no more blank checks.
And now the next case. And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of McKnight versus McKnight. Step forward, please.
18-year-old student Ashley McKnight is suing her sister, 21-year-old Latoria Tori McKnight, for money loaned to pay her rent. Ashley says Tori was in jail and needed help paying her bills.
What's your first name?
Ashley.
This is your sister.
Yes, ma'am.
What's your first name?
Latoria.
According to your complaint, your sister went to jail. And you agreed that while she was in jail, you would take care of the bills and the rent on her apartment with the agreement that she would pay you back when she got out of jail.
Yes, ma'am.
Your sister in her answer says that you and your boyfriend decided to stay in the apartment and you trashed it, so she's not responsible for anything. What did you go to jail for and when?
I was on probation for a misdemeanor for having a traffic ticket and not paying on it. And see, they put you on probation until you pay the traffic ticket off. So I was on probation for that, and I was late paying on my probation fines. And so my probation officer, she took a warrant out on me October the 8th, but I didn't find out. She done took the warrant out on me until a week later. So then when I went to jail, I stayed 2 weeks.
Which 2 weeks?
After October the 8th, when I found out I had the warrant, that was a week, and after that week was up, I stayed in jail 2 weeks, and I came home October the 26th.
Now, did you ask your sister to pay your rent?
See, how it went was, when I went to jail that Friday, I thought I was supposed to be staying just a couple of days. Oh, I thought I was supposed to just been staying a couple of days. I thought I was coming home that Monday. But I ended up staying 2 weeks, and so when I called home, I was like, keep my apartment up for me. And she said, we'll do that, we'll do that. So the whole time I'm thinking, my rent paid, you know, when I come home, I have a place to come home to. Well, that Monday, after that 2 weeks, my probation officer, he was like, you just pay a certain amount of money and you can come home. So I'm like, okay, you know, I'm happy now, I'm coming home now. You know, I done got all hyped up. I'm telling everybody I'm coming home, I'm coming home, I'm coming home. So I called my aunt, and she paid my probation officer to go ahead and pay my ticket off. That way I can come home. So when I came home, I didn't think she was going to be mad about paying my rent when she stayed there 3 weeks.
Well, just a minute. How could she stay there 3 weeks if you told me you were only in jail for 2 weeks?
I was in jail 2 weeks, but the week that I wasn't at home, I didn't stay there. So
where'd you stay?
I stayed like in hotels. I stayed at my mama's house.
Oh, don't give me baloney.
Your Honor, I stayed at her house 2 weeks. On the 15th, Tori was in jail, and she called me and asked me, could I pay her rent for her? She told me her rent was $230, and I said, pay your rent? She was like, yes. She said, you can stay there as long as you promise me you keep my bills up and pay my rent. So I said, okay. So at the time, she talked to a probation officer, and he said if she come up with like $500 cash, then she'll get out of jail. So when she was calling me that time, I had my cell phone. She was calling me on my cell phone. When she called somebody and called me on three-way, asked me, have I asked this person for some money? Have I asked that person for some money?
You and your boyfriend stayed in her apartment?
Yeah.
Where had you been staying?
Well, I live with my mother.
So you moved out of your mother's house in with your boyfriend into her apartment?
No. No, it's not like we moved in like that. I live with my mother like he lived at his mama's house. But she told me I could stay there at her apartment if I pay all her bills for her. So, I mean...
That's nice. That's not a loan.
No, she told me she would pay me back. She told me her rent was $230. When I talked to her site manager, she told me her rent was $350, and it's a $55 late fee because it was late. So she wanted $405. So then they took out a warrant or something, whatever her site manager did, and I got this paper stating that I had to pay Latoya rent by the 26th, so everything on their premises will be theirs.
I got it. So you paid the $405?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, she came out of jail on October 26th.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's the same day you paid the $405?
Yes, ma'am.
And then she told you you had to leave?
Yes, ma'am.
So you left?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, if she hadn't paid the $405, you would have owed the $405 plus November's rent.
Yes, ma'am.
No, she would have
Right?
been put out. I'm sorry.
Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, she only stayed in the apartment 2 weeks. Why should she pay you rent for that 2 weeks?
She stayed in my place 3 weeks. I got carpet damage. All them all them bills still coming.
Show me. Proof. Proof.
Well, I couldn't counterclaim, so I didn't.
Show me proof. Show me pictures.
Oh, no, ma'am.
Show me something.
Y'all don't have anything.
Well, that's what you should think you were coming here for today. Your answer said that not only did she live there, but she caused all kinds of damage. She trashed your apartment. You came in, the place was a mess, the carpet was stained, the walls were... So for that, you have proof. You take a picture. Everybody's got a camera. What kind of camera do you have?
I don't have a camera.
You have a friend who has a camera.
No, I do not.
What's your name?
Charmaine Greer.
How old are you?
22.
You have any children?
2.
How old are they?
1 and 5 months.
Is she your friend?
Mm-hmm.
How many pictures do you have of your children? A whole bunch?
Yes.
Yes, because you have a what?
Camera.
Good. Right. See, instead of asking her to come to court today, you should have asked to borrow her camera. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $405. That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
If she feel like I owe my sister, then I owe her, but I don't feel like I owe my sister.
I was trying to help out. I mean, I was going to keep her apartment up and everything going on.
My carpet was dirty and I had trash everywhere.
Yeah, it might have been a trash bag in the kitchen, but I mean, trash do be in the kitchen.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Jaramillo versus Adamo. Step forward, please.
Administrative Assistant Catherine Jaramillo is suing the mother of her daughter's ex-boyfriend, medical transcriber Barbara Adamo, for a loan to catch up on her bills.
Ms. Jaramillo, according to what I've read in your complaint, your daughter and the defendant's son used to date.
Yes.
And that's how you knew her.
Yes.
How long did they date?
About 3 years.
And Ms. Adamo at some point had some financial difficulties. You claim a series of loans to her, loans amounting to $2,950.
Yes.
The kids are no longer an item. They're no longer together. Ms. Adamo says that while maybe she acknowledges one loan to help her pay her rent, she'd never received any other money from you. And in addition, she says that there was some sort of a set-off for that rent money, which she's going to tell me about. When and why did you make the first loan?
My daughter came to me and said, you know, can you help her out a little bit? They don't have any food in their house. Both of her sons were living there at the time. She had 4 kids there at the time. And they didn't have any groceries, and she didn't have any money. So I said, sure. So I gave my daughter $100 to take over there so that she could go grocery shopping.
Okay. That's not a loan.
Right.
That's a gift.
Right, I understand that.
Okay. Did she call you and thank you?
Yes, she did.
Tell me about that conversation.
She just said that she was always out of money, that she was having to go to check cashing places and get payday advances, that no one had ever really sat down and taught her how to pay her bills or how to budget her money. And I told her that I could help her do that because I, too, am a single mom with 3 kids. So we sat down and we wrote down everything she owed, all of her regular monthly bills, a few outstanding debts that she had, how much she made, how much she was capable of making, because if she works more, she can make more. And
what kind of work were you doing, Ms. Adamo?
I do medical transcription.
You are an independent contractor?
No. I work at a hospital, but I have incentive. Anything over 1,000 lines a day, we get an additional 7.5 cents per line.
So you sat down with her. Do you remember when that was?
It was in November.
It was in December of 2003.
Okay. Go ahead.
In December of 2003, I asked her if she would help me with my budgeting. So she said, yes, I will help you because she's really good with money. And so I went to her house and we sat down and we put all the bills on the table and we went through the whole thing. And she said to me, tomorrow I'm going to go and get a money order for $1,350 and you're going to take it and pay your rent with it. And I said, wait, Kathy, I don't know when I can pay back $1,350.
Well, your rent was due. How were you going to pay your rent?
I didn't know at that point.
Well, you had to, just Ms. Adamo, you had to pay your rent.
Right. So she gave me the money order for $1,350 a day later.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what arrangements did you make to pay her back?
We had no arrangements at that point. She said we'd talk about it after the holidays. That's what she said to me.
Just a second. You mean she said we would talk about how you were going to pay her back
Yes,
after the holidays?
After the holidays.
So it was a loan.
Yes. Oh, it was a loan. Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
I wasn't clear on that.
No, it was a loan.
Fine.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Catherine Jaramillo says former friend Barbara Adamo owes for a loan to pay bills.
Now, did the plaintiff's daughter give you $100 for groceries?
Yes, she did.
When?
Probably in November. That was before the $13.50.
Now, when was the second amount of money that you gave her?
The same day as the money order. I had my daughter go down to the bank and get the cash out.
For what?
Because when we sat down and we wrote down all of her bills, everything that she owed, I told her that I could loan her the money to pay all of this off so that she could start fresh. And she said that every year she got a really big tax check and that it would be February, March, and that she would be able to pay me back all of this. I completely wiped out all of her debt. She's never disputed that she's owed me this money until today.
Just a minute. How much did you give her in addition to the $13.50?
I gave her $600.
Is that right, Ms. Adamo?
That's not right.
How much did she give you?
The only cash she ever gave me was the $100 in November, and then I received a money order for $13.50. I never, ever received any more cash after that point, ever.
Okay. Let us assume for the moment, just other than the $1,350 and what you claim is a $600 cash loan, is there any other money that you loaned her?
Yes, I gave her $600 right before Christmas because they didn't have a tree. She wasn't going to be able to get the kids anything.
Do you have any proof of that?
No, I do not.
Well, you must have a bank statement if you say you withdrew money.
We no longer have those. I didn't ever think that I would need them.
Well, you need them when you come to court.
Right.
And you knew
But
you were coming. Shh, listen to me. And you knew you were coming to court.
Right.
So it's very easy to call the bank and say, get me a duplicate statement. Right?
Right.
That's a no-brainer. Okay. $1,350. Let's go.
Okay. And then my son graduated from boot camp, and I took Andy and her daughter, which she was supposed to reimburse me for that trip, which I have plane tickets and stuff, and that was supposed to come off the $13.50 that I owed her. And all of this was verbal. We never wrote anything down because we were friends at the time. I was very grateful for what she had done for me.
So you should have paid her back.
Yes.
And you still should pay her back.
Well, I did.
You explain to me how you paid her back.
Okay.
And give me the whole story. You were going to visit your son.
Yes.
And at that time, your son and her daughter were an item.
Correct.
And your son wanted you to bring his girlfriend.
Actually,
look, your son wanted you to bring his girlfriend.
Yes, he wanted to see her.
Right. And she said, let me just speculate. She said, she's not going. I don't have the money for her to go.
No, that's not what she said. As a matter of fact, I asked the daughter not to go because at that point I thought I was only going to have 5 hours to spend with my son because right after graduation he was being sent to Florida.
According to your answer, madam, you said, I spoke to Kathy and she said she wasn't willing to pay for the expenses for Andy and her friend. That's what you swore to in your answer.
Right. So we were supposed to take it out of the $13.50. She wasn't supposed to give me the money. That's what we did. That's what we agreed upon.
Go ahead.
That is simply not true. My daughter was going to go see her boyfriend graduate. I paid for the trip. That was her birthday present for me. She bought the tickets online. I went over there and took her the cash for the tickets.
Well,
I paid for her
you,
trip, plus I gave her money to spend while she was there.
Let me ask you this question. Why would you give her money if she owed you all this money?
Because she wouldn't have the money to buy the tickets, and I wanted my daughter to go. She wanted to go. She did not want my daughter to go.
I didn't want her to go because of the fact that we only had a couple hours. So I asked her, let me just spend those few hours with my son. I've only got 5 hours with him. She threw such a fit. And Andy did. Her daughter threw such a fit.
Her daughter did. And what about your son?
My son understood that I only had the 5 hours at that point. At first, he did want her to go.
Listen to me. Your son wanted his girlfriend there.
Of course he did.
Your son wanted his girlfriend.
Of course
It's
he
very
did.
nice to see his mother.
Absolutely.
Mother, I want to see my girlfriend.
Right.
If my mother brings my girlfriend, I'd be happy to see my mother. Right. But put your hand down. But if I had to choose, you said my girlfriend, and you can write me a long letter. All right, you owe her $1,350. That's what I'm satisfied she gave you as far as a loan is concerned. As far as the rest of the cash that you gave her, I'm not comfortable with awarding her that cash because you had the opportunity to have proof here before me that you did, in fact, at least take the money out of the bank. You chose, that was a conscious choice not to do that. And I don't believe that there was any sort of a set-off for these plane tickets. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,350. That's all.
Excuse me, step out.
She always said we'd talk about it after the holidays, and after the holidays, everything started getting crazy.
She just never made any effort to pay me back whatsoever.
Her daughter started taking my daughter out. They started drinking and stealing and doing horrible things.
Well, we were teenagers. We were like 16. We did crazy things. We went out to parties. We did what teenagers do. We went to parties and stuff. I mean, that was a long time ago. She just said, "Do you want to do it with me?" And I didn't want to tell her no.
Her son was on probation when my daughter met him, so it's not like her kids are great.
I'm not doing that anymore. My son broke up with her daughter, and that's what instigated the entire thing.
Dragging the kids into it, it's not about them. It's not about them at all, and she made it all about them.
Law student Emily Todoran is suing her ex-boyfriend, waiter Chad Bracken, for unpaid loans and a couch. Chad says Emily has been paid in full.
That's case number 499 on the calendar, the matter of Todoran versus Bracken. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Ms. Todoran, who was your witness?
My old roommate, Julie Perry.
Do you have information with regard to this case?
We lived together when Chad and I first started dating and when I moved out to New York with him.
That doesn't answer my question. Does she have evidence with regard to this case, or is she just here for moral support?
She's
is not an answer. Come on. You're going to law school?
Yes.
All right. That's what I gather from your complaint. If you're going to law school, you give me an answer. Does she have evidence? Does she have testimony to offer? Or is she here as just for good company?
She just has testimony.
Just has testimony. What year of law school are you in?
First.
Okay. And he?
I'm learning.
That's Ryan Barr. That's one of my best friends from New York. He'll offer testimony. He helped move the furniture.
Okay, good. You two people used to be in love with each other. You lived together for a little while. You don't anymore. And you claim he owes you some money for a loan, and he's got some property that belonged to you, a sofa or something that he agreed to pay for, and he didn't when you broke up. Mr. Bracken says that you were involved in a give-and-take relationship. That's what people do when they live together. Sometimes you paid, sometimes he paid. He owes you nothing.
Correct.
When did you move in together and where?
We first moved into an apartment. It was in June of 2003.
Listen to me. Is that the apartment we're talking about in this case?
There were two apartments. We moved into
I'm
one.
not interested in the first apartment in 2003.
They're both 2003.
Get to the one where you were living in, where you say you had to advance money for the security and first, last, and security. When was that?
That was July 2003.
How much was the rent on the apartment?
$1,700 a month.
What were you doing at the time?
I got a job as a freelance designer.
And he?
He's a production assistant.
And you agreed to split the rent?
Yes.
Is that right, sir?
Yes.
Good. Did you give her money for rent?
Yes, I did.
How much?
Half the rent. And what would happen a lot of times is...
I'm talking about when you first moved in.
Sorry.
When you first moved in, you have to give first, last, security. It's a whole big chunk of money.
Right.
Did you have that money to give her?
It did not happen in July the way you're stating it.
That's all I wanted to know.
Okay.
So you did not give her that money. How much did you give the landlord in July?
$5,000.
You have proof of that?
I have a receipt for my deposit and for $1,700, and I have the receipt for the broker's fee that I paid of $1,700.
Well, let me see what you have the receipt from. You should have the receipt from everything. You should have your check, cancel checks.
Your Honor, I didn't keep a lot of the documentation because he was my boyfriend and I trusted him and I loved him and I did not think that I would ever need these kind of things. We had an oral agreement.
Listen to me, my dear.
I trusted him. I know it was stupid.
Listen to me, my dear. You're going to law school. When two people love each other and are committed to each other, they get married. Then we have courts for them. What happened with you is you decide to come into court and to sue him and say, listen, I didn't keep my receipts. I don't have proof, but we had an agreement. And our agreement when we moved in together was we were going to split the bills down in half, right? And we didn't. I paid more. And he says, well, there came a time when you moved into this apartment that you lost your job.
Mm-hmm.
And I picked up the slack.
No, he didn't.
Well, that's what he's saying.
He's lying.
Just a second. How am I supposed to figure that out?
I moved out in December, and I paid rent through the end of January to give him time to find a new place, because actually we were getting evicted.
Show me.
I can't. I called the landlord, and they refused to send me receipts since I was involved in a lawsuit. I'm telling the truth. I'm under oath. I would not make this up.
Did you break the lease?
We did. They just let us out. They just let us out of it.
What happened in 2004?
He made payments to me all year.
How much?
He paid me payments of $62, $100, $60, $50, $150. The last payment was this past December, 2004. I have the cashier's check right here for $150.
How much did he pay you in total?
$422.
What did you give her $422 for?
I felt that I owed her after, because every time I would try to negotiate with Miss Toteron and say, because she always stuck with that number. And
What number?
$5,800. And I said, there's a lot of things that we need to talk about, why certain expenses shouldn't be considered in that debt and other things like that. Now, so what I came to determine was $1,400. And so I was acting in good faith by paying towards that.
Okay, so let us say that after 2.5 years, you decided that $1,400 was your fair share.
Yes, ma'am.
Because you paid for some things, she paid for some things. Neither of you have records.
I have records. I can show
So
everything.
why didn't you finish paying the $1,400?
No, I did. That's
She
what
says
the
she
payment.
got $400 from you, $422.
Okay, I can show.
Show me canceled checks for more.
Certainly.
And then we're out of here.
Well, I can only show you $300 in addition to what she is saying.
Show me.
There's that, as well as I have copies of I would write bills down that I owed on legal
Just a second.
pads.
I see one thing for, what?
It's very hard to tell this
I
stuff.
see one thing for $150.
And the other thing does say $150. It's hard to tell.
Well,
know
I
it's
can't read it.
undernumbered.
If I can't read it, my dear, then it doesn't exist.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Says ex-boyfriend Chad Bracken owes for loans and a couch. Emily says moving to New York with Chad was a big mistake.
She has $422.
Mm-hmm.
Does that include a check on November 29th, 2004 for $150?
I have a copy of that right here.
Okay. You got credit for it.
Okay.
$422. So what happened to the rest?
All
What
right.
happened to the other $1,000, Mr. Bracken?
Okay. Now the rest, well, there are payments. As Ms. Toteron said, we didn't keep a lot of these things, so I've shown you everything that I do have.
All right. So let's
But
start
I
from
do
the
have, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I do have all the expenses from moving her furniture, which was 6 months after she left, actually almost 7 months after she left, that I kept with me. I moved twice. Mr. Barr helped me move these things into Brooklyn. Now, when we moved from New York, I moved everything and paid all the expenses to return her furniture to her.
How much was that?
$1,227.
Did you receive furniture from him?
No, I did not.
Just a minute. What did you return to her, sir?
I returned all her stereo equipment, a television.
Nope.
Show me the address where you sent it.
I didn't send it. She came and picked it up from my house when I got back to Indianapolis.
Lies.
You said expenses to send it back to her.
No, to move it back.
Give it back to him. You owe her $1,000. That's based on your statement, sir, because I'm not going through your bills from 2.5 years ago. $50 here and $12 there. Let's take what you have.
Okay.
The debt that you acknowledge was $1,400, and you paid her $422. That leaves about $1,000. Now, what about this couch that she says that she sold to you and you never paid her for?
Okay, can I just back up 1 second?
Yeah.
So the moving expenses.
I'm getting so bored with this.
All right. All right,
Those
the
are boring.
furniture. Basically, the furniture, when she decided to move, she said she would stay until February. In actuality, 3 days later, she was packing when I got back from work in a minivan. Now,
It must have been your personality.
I can't speak to what was in her head. I can't speak to what her...
The couch.
Okay, so she left 3 days later in a minivan. She said, I can't, move this furniture. I said, well, if you're going to charge me half of it, take the furniture with you. She said, no, I can't move it. You keep it.
Okay, and your
Can I
version of the
speak?
couch?
My version of the couch is we went to the store together with the intention of purchasing a couch and paying for half of it, which I have the receipt for
No,
right
you weren't
here.
intending to purchase a couch for half. You were intending to purchase couch for full price.
Yes, so I purchased...
You're each going to pay half.
I purchased the couch for full price, and before I purchased it, I said, you're going to pay me back for half of this, correct?
Just don't look at it, don't look at it.
Okay, and he said yes. So then when I was moving, he was going to stay in New York for an indefinite period of time. So I said, you know what, you keep the couch, you still owe me half for it, but you just go ahead and keep it.
Listen, when two young people want to play house, they shouldn't irritate me. You have the couch?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you return her stereo equipment?
Absolutely.
No.
Did you return her television set?
I returned everything.
Go ahead.
Sometime in April or something, the new apartment he lived in New York, like, burnt down.
Did he return any property to you?
He returned my TV, but my stereo apparently was damaged in the fire.
Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $1,000. That's all. Step out. Don't play house anymore.
Parties are excused when they step out.
The defendant is probably the biggest liar I've ever met in my entire life.
When we got to the end of the relationship and she hadn't been employed for 2 months, she realized she'd be safer back at home. I think she left.
I thought Chad was sketchy all along, so I was actually warning her at the time when she wanted to move to New York with him to not do it.
She made a bad decision being in New York, and she paid for it, and she wanted me to be the easy target.
I just don't understand how a person like that can live their life and get out of bed and think they're a good person every day, and his hair is kind of disturbing, too.
I hope this ends it.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Finnegan versus Cooper. Step forward, please.
19-year-old warehouse worker Justin Finnegan is suing 28-year-old student Catherine Cooper for backing into his car. Catherine says Justin was illegally parked.
Mr. Finnegan, it is your claim that Miss Cooper damaged your car by backing into it.
Yes, that is correct.
And you want her to pay for the damage that was done to your car. Miss Cooper says that your car is, or was, I don't know, it's still in existence, an illegally parked piece of junk. Okay, where did this happen, Mr. Finnegan? No, listen to me. I didn't ask you to show me. It's not show and tell. Where did it happen?
We were at the apartment complex.
At an apartment complex?
Yes.
Whose apartment complex?
Her old apartment complex and my witness Matt's apartment complex.
You don't live there?
No, I do not.
What were you doing there?
I was visiting with my friend Matthew.
When?
September 20th.
2004.
Yes, that's correct.
Now you can go over to your chart and show me where your car was.
Okay.
You say your car was parked.
Yes. No, it was still running. I had forgot my wallet, and I was parked right here.
Well, that says driveway. It's written there, driveway. So you left your car running in the driveway. Where had your car been parked, Mr. Finnegan?
My car was parked right here.
That says friend's car.
When we had left, no one was there. That was where I was parked.
Okay, so that space, you were occupying that space, and then you backed out into the driveway, left your car running, and went back inside to get a wallet?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, now my question to you is, why didn't you pull back into the parking space?
Because we were just running in real quick.
Not we. Don't say we. You were driving?
Yeah.
It's your car, not we
That's
were running in. Who ran in? How many people did it take to
in
get a wallet?
I ran in real quick to grab the wallet.
So you were driving. So my question to you is, why didn't you pull back into the parking space?
I wasn't going to take that long. I was just running and grab the wallet and turn around.
It was long enough for somebody to hit your car.
She was backing out.
It was long enough for somebody to hit your car. Then what happened, Mr. Finnegan?
I had grabbed the wallet, turned around, came out the front door, and we started yelling because she was coming close to the car. And
who's we?
Me and my witness Matt, and I had another friend outside, and we were all yelling, "Watch out, watch out."
Just a second. Where was this witness?
We were,
not we.
Matt was standing right here, right outside of the
He was
car
standing on the
grass.
What was he doing there?
He had got out to talk to someone.
And she hit your car?
Yes, that is correct.
All right, show me.
Okay.
What's this house? Picture of a house.
That one is a picture of the pole.
What does the pole have to do with this?
I was just showing that she has broke that pole several times with her vehicle.
I want to see a picture of your whole car, sir.
The whole car? We don't have one of the full car.
Why not?
Because I just took a picture of
What's
only
this
the
plural?
jet.
What's a we?
Sorry.
I want to see a picture of the whole car. She says that this is a gray car that you've painted with house paint. Looks like that to me on this little thing over here, because that has to go to your damages, sir. Is this car painted with house paint?
No, it's primer. It was red.
Primer. Who painted it with primer?
It was primered when I had bought it. I was getting ready for paint.
How long have you had it?
I had it for a year.
Did you ever have it painted?
I haven't had it yet. It's sitting in the shop right now.
Why?
Because I was rebuilding the car.
All right, Ms. Cooper, I'll hear you.
Okay.
That's part of the 20th of September, 2004. You backed into his car.
Yes, I did. And right after that happened, I got all his friends. There was more than that many people out, and they surrounded me, and they were yelling at me and calling me all kinds of horrible names. And I told them, fine, I'll just pay you. I was on my way to work. So I left after that. I needed to get out of there. There was a bunch of teenagers, and they were all partying. There's a lot of traffic in and out of the place all the time. And they all started harassing me, and the harassment never ended.
Okay, so you backed into his car.
Yeah.
You didn't see it?
I didn't see it. There was a car parked next to me. I was parked in my normal parking spot, and
I see where you say your car was parked.
Okay.
Now, what happened then, Mr. Finnegan? She didn't pay you for it, is that right?
Yes. She had asked me to bring her an estimate, and she would make payments for it.
Fine. Did you bring her an estimate?
Yes, I did.
Was it a reasonable estimate?
Yes.
What was it for?
It was $670.20.
How much did you pay for the car?
I paid $2,000 for the car.
What year, make, and model car is it?
It's a 1990 Honda Civic.
Did you buy it in primer coat?
Yes, I did.
And you paid $2,000 for it?
That is correct.
Somebody saw you coming. So you gave her this estimate. Go ahead. What happened
next? And I had waited. She had said she was waiting on a check, and I had said, okay. And I had came back to her, and she had said, I don't have the money. I just started a new job. And I had waited another week or so, and I had came back, and I followed up each week about the money, and every time it was a different story.
Why don't you tell Officer Bird here what you did, sir?
I had asked her about the money, and she said, well, I'm moving, and I don't have the money. And so, out of anger, I got mad, and I went and I took a baseball bat to the back window.
Of what?
Of her vehicle.
Of her car?
That's correct.
Who was in the car at the time?
Her daughter was in the car.
Her baby was in the car?
And I did not know that at the time.
No, I told them.
Shh, 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 shh. Sorry. Got it?
Oh, yeah.
You got your anger out. And you were arrested.
That's correct.
And you pled guilty to vandalism.
It was criminal mischief.
And you were forced to pay restitution.
That is correct.
What do we think? Petrie Hawkins Bird. Evidently, Mr. Finnegan understands how to go to small claims court and file papers.
Apparently.
He even knows how to oversee drawing diagrams.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Finnegan, you think I'm sympathetic to you, sir?
No, ma'am.
You're right. That you're right about. And why do you think I'm not sympathetic to you, Mr. Finnegan?
Because of what I did was not right.
Correct.
In any way,
One thing was an accident, at least partially caused by your own negligence, for leaving your car running in a parking lot where there are children around. Child could have run into the car, driven, hurt themselves, hurt a lot of other people, because you couldn't take the time. You must have been off to a very, very important corporate meeting so that you couldn't pull this car back into the parking space, turn off the ignition, and take the key when you went inside to get your wallet. So at least you were partially responsible for what happened to your own piece of junk.
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
And instead of acting like a grown-up and saying, well, she's not paying me, that's not the right thing to do, maybe it'll cost me $50 to have my car fixed. Instead, you take a baseball bat to her car with her baby in the car sitting in the back seat and smash the window.
Yes, ma'am.
You think that a court is going to be sympathetic to you?
No, ma'am.
You're right. Your case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. Let's step out.
They have fight clubs, bunch of teenagers beating each other up all over the place, bleeding all over the parking lot.
And, you know, we're teenagers. We have lots of friends, you know.
I know that there's drug activity going on around there.
We meet up there, and then, you know, we all leave together.
We said, my daughter's in the car, Justin, because I saw him come around with a baseball bat, and I knew he meant business then.
I never wanted to be mean or, you know, have problems with her. I just wanted, you know, what was mine.
I was just really scared, just shaky and scared, hoping that the cops would get there fast.
Brooke Batiste is suing her ex-roommate, Adrian Carter, for property damage, breaking a lease, and a dog attack.
Court coming to order. All rise.
Be seated, everyone.
Hello, Judge. Case 2080 Batiste versus Carter.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Batiste, you and Miss Carter were roommates.
Yes, ma'am.
From when to when?
From October 7th to April 1st. Actually, May.
And it is your claim that Miss Carter vandalized certain property of yours.
Yes, Your Honor.
Most specifically, a very expensive couch.
Yes, Your Honor.
Because you had an argument, and that during the course of this argument, her dog bit you.
Yes, Your Honor.
And for breaching the lease, because she left.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, but it was a good thing that she left, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You were happy that she left. Her dog bit you. She vandalized the sofa. You were very happy that she
left. Yeah.
You were very happy. So we're going to eliminate that breach of the lease part.
No.
Oh yes, we're going to eliminate the breach of the lease part because you were happy that she left.
I didn't want her to live in the same situation as her, but being that the rent was so expensive, it wouldn't have been my best interest for her to leave.
It's with her to stay with her dog that bit you.
Right.
I mean, I don't want you to sound ridiculous to me, okay?
Right.
All right, let's not sound ridiculous to me. Normal person, if they were bitten by their roommate's dog, and if their roommate vandalized their property, that roommate would be happy to see them go.
But I'm not happy with the expensive rent by myself.
Well, of course, but your choice would be staying with her and her dog that bit you.
But if her name's on a lease...
Just a second. That's between her and the landlord. I just told you, I'm sticking with vandalizing and dog bite. So tell me when this dog bite took place.
It's on March 29th.
What kind of dog was it, by the way?
It was a Belgian Malinois.
What do they look like?
It looks like a German Shepherd.
Is that what you have, Miss Carter? A Belgian
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor. A Belgian Malinois, like a police dog.
So it looks like a German Shepherd?
Yes, ma'am.
So it's a large dog?
Yes, ma'am.
And when you moved in together, you moved in with the dog?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So tell me what happened March 29th.
Okay, so before March 29th, Adrian and I got in a petty argument. It was dumb. We made up. In the argument, she confessed to me that...
No, just a minute. You engaged in a petty argument, and then you made up.
Yes.
And the petty argument was on what date?
It was on the March 27th.
And you made up?
Yes.
Okay. On the 27th, what were you arguing about?
My dog tore up the carpet, and she sent this long paragraph, and we were just going back and forth, and we realized it was dumb, so we decided to drop it. And that's when she confessed to...
On the 27th?
Yes, ma'am.
So you were arguing about the dog, and then on the 27th, after you were over the argument about the dog, is that what you're telling me? Be very careful.
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
She confessed that she gave the guy that I was seeing a lap dance.
And?
And I immediately cut all ties with her.
So you cut all ties with her how?
I stopped speaking to her.
Even though you were roommates?
Yes.
Okay.
After I stopped talking to her, social media posts were made.
By whom?
Adrian.
Okay. Social media posts were made. Do you have those?
No, I do not.
Do you have those?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Why don't you have them if this is your case?
They erase, but I have other things that I think you would want to see.
I'm going in order. This is a case. So don't try to creep into my mind. Even say in your complaint a couple of days later, there were things posted on social media. And is what you're telling me that they were erased?
Right. I didn't save anything that she posted.
Oh, never mind. I don't have to see anything, correct?
Correct.
So you didn't save anything?
No, ma'am.
Then you have no evidence of anything that happened
So
later.
I saw that she had no remorse for what she did. Then I made social media posts. Adrian was mad that I made social media posts. So the next morning, she's yelling at the top of her lungs at 10 in the morning. I wake up to see what she's yelling about. And she's just saying how I'm a... and I shouldn't have posted what I posted. And we were just arguing about the situation, and I asked, how could she do this to me? It was a very heated argument. She was yelling at the top of her lungs. I was yelling at the top of my lungs. During the argument, her dog is whoo, whoo, woo, going crazy. And while we were arguing, we were pretty close, the dog bit me, and I said, you need to get your dog. She said, no, your dog is good. And we continued to argue. The dog came to bite me again, and that's when I grabbed what was behind me, which was a paper towel holder, and I chucked it at the dog.
So the dog bit you on the arm?
Yes, ma'am, twice.
Okay. I would like to see a medical report on that.
Okay. All right, I have a photo of the bite, the antibiotics, and then this is the report.
Would you show this to Miss Carter, please?
Your Honor, I know she has a video of the entire incident, if you'd rather.
It's not her obligation to prove your case, as my law clerk so aptly told me in the last case. Not her obligation, it's your obligation. Okay. So, go ahead.
After her dog bit me, I immediately grabbed my dog and I go to the hospital. I filled out
What kind of dog do you have?
I have a Doberman.
Where was your Doberman when this was going on?
He was in the cage and he's still a baby as well. So I went to the hospital, got treated. While I was at the hospital, Adrian called the police and she said that I attacked her dog.
Don't tell me what she said to the police unless you have a police report.
Yes, ma'am, I have a police report.
Then I'd like to see the police report. That's an official business record.
So this is the first police report for the dog bite.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, so April 19th, this day, Adrian knocked on my door.
No, April 19th? We're at April 19th. I thought you moved out on April 1st.
No, she moved out on April 19th.
So is what you're saying after all this altercation, she moved out?
Yes, ma'am.
And stayed in the apartment with her dog from the 29th to April 19th?
Yes, ma'am. And I went to a friend's house the day the dog bit me, and then I went home for a week, and then that's when I came back, and this second incident happened.
So after the dog bit you, you did not go home. You took your dog and left.
Yes, ma'am.
And stayed at whose house for a week?
I stayed at a friend that lives an hour away from my current apartment.
On what date did you return?
So I stayed one night at a friend's house, and then I returned, and then I went home for a week. So
when you went, stop playing with papers.
Yes, Your Honor.
When you went home for the day, was the defendant at home?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have any conversations with her?
No, ma'am.
Just stayed out of her way and packed a few things and left?
Yes, ma'am.
And you went to stay?
At home in Alabama.
With your family?
Yes, ma'am. Until things cooled down, basically.
Okay, and when did you go back?
I went back, I believe, April 17th.
And what happened when you went back on the 17th?
A few days later, April 19th, Adrian was knocking on my door at 9 a.m. in the morning saying that I need to come to the leasing office because there's a new roommate here. I told her no, and then that's when she started threatening me and calling me all these kinds of names. So I take my dog again, I go outside, and I call an officer, and that's also when I called my mom, and she convinced me to go up there to speak with the new roommate to see, you know, who they were.
What new roommate? Just a second.
She tried to get 2 young girls to replace her on the lease.
And it was unsatisfactory?
Yes, ma'am.
So far, I have a dog bite and
yes, ma'am.
Couch.
So after I said no to the 2 roommates, one didn't have a job, they looked young, I said no. I went back home. 10 minutes later, Adrian...
Home? You mean to your folks'
To our
house?
apartment.
Oh, to your apartment.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So 10 minutes later, Adrian comes in. I was in the room with my door locked. I hear Adrian yelling. I hear her throwing things. She's saying, I can't believe you did that. You really just did that. I don't care. I'm still moving out. I'm still leaving. I'm not paying rent. Blah, blah, blah. I didn't come out the room because last time it got crazy, so I just said I would let her do what she does, and I will let the authorities handle it.
She did come out the room, Your Honor.
When I finally came out the room, which I have a video, and came out, she had moved the couch in front of the door so I couldn't get out of my room. And
well, how did you get out?
I jumped over it. And the trash can was flipped upside down. I have pictures of all the damage that she did to the house and videos.
Well, I'd like to see them, please. And I would like to see the damage to the couch, which is your major complaint.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the damages, and then I have a video of the entire incident right here.
Brooke Batiste claims her ex-roommate, Adrian Carter, owes for couch damage and a dog attack.
By the way, did you have any unreimbursed medical bills as a result of this dog bite? That's either a yes or a no.
No, ma'am.
When did you purchase this couch?
I purchased it the day we moved in, so it was October 7th.
How much did you pay for it?
I paid $2,200 in total, and Adrian and I were paying on it a little bit in the beginning, but there came a time where we had to make the final payment on it, which was $1,200. When we had the argument, she didn't pay anything, so I had to pay it all by myself. And the couch is in my name.
Did the couch remain?
Yes, ma'am. The couch is at the house.
What does it look like now?
It's black, but there's it's an odor coming from the couch, and there's some stains on it.
Do you have a picture of it, what it looks like now?
No, ma'am. I just have the pictures that I gave you.
Okay, but you're still using the sofa.
The answer is a smell. No, ma'am. I don't sit on it anymore because there's a smell.
So why don't you get rid of it out of the apartment?
I'm moving October 6th, and that's when I plan to get rid of it.
But you've been using it since April.
It's just been sitting there, Your Honor. I haven't had
sitting
time.
in your apartment since April.
Yes, ma'am.
April, May, June.
I just haven't made the time to get rid of it because I know I'm moving soon, and that's when I plan to get rid of it.
I wouldn't keep something in my house that smelled.
I work a lot, and
Would you please show this to the defendant? Want to tell me how that happened?
I did put chips and like items that wasn't wet on the couch out of anger. I shouldn't have did it, but I did do it. And I didn't put liquid on it or anything. Literally,
That's not true, Your Honor.
Don't speak.
You can get a napkin and wipe it off. But that's my couch too. Maybe I didn't pay the whole thing on it, but I've made payments on that couch, and I decided not to do that full payment that she did, which was $600, because she was irresponsible and decided to rent a couch and found out that that couch was whatever amount. I made payments on that couch, and I have proof for it.
That's okay. You had no right to even attempt to destroy it.
At all.
At all. You had no right to do that.
Right.
Because that devalued the sofa.
I agree.
Okay, good. Okay. I'm actually finished with you.
Your Honor, can we please go back over the lease portion of this?
No.
Can my mom speak about what happened?
No, I said no. When there's that kind of acrimony, I actually think that before somebody gets seriously injured, when you have two large dogs and two people with hot tempers that can do this, it's a very, very good thing that they no longer live together.
Being stuck with a rent and
just a second. I've just answered you. This is not a back and forth.
Yes, ma'am.
On the dog bite, I am awarding you $1,000. It looks as if part of it was a black and blue mark. Certainly, I can't blame the dog for trying to protect its owner, but she's supposed to have control of her dog all the time.
And she shouldn't start arguing.
This is not a tea dance. I'm not asking you anything. And I'm awarding you $1,200 for the sofa. That's $2,200. Judgment for the plaintiff. We're finished. Thank you very much.
Court is adjourned.
She just did something messed up, and I cut her off, and she didn't like it.
I literally cut her off. She's just mad that she's cut off.
She's delusional. She's delusional.
She's childish. She's irresponsible, and I was just sick of dealing with someone draining.
Just don't get roommates with your friends. Just move in by yourself.
I'm happy.
You had a question about the lease.
I did. So I agree that it was best for the acrimonious situation for them to separate and not to live there. So I understand your judgment saying it was better for you. You got the good end of the stick on that she left. However, the law, if you breach a lease, she did get stuck with a higher portion of rent because her roommate, although a negative situation that should have probably ended right when it did, she was stuck paying her half as well. So I thought you should have at least heard her claim on the breach of a lease, because then anyone could just say, oh, well, I don't like the situation and I feel like leaving would be a better thing, and stick their roommate with their portion of the rent. And that's not what the law says.
Well, that's true, except that this wasn't just a situation where parties weren't getting along. Mm-hmm. There's no question that she was nipped by the defendant's dog. Well, I wouldn't want to stay in that situation anyway.
Well, that would give her the right to maybe leave without paying her half of the rent, but that's not what happened.
It's also sort of acknowledged that the defendant brought two other people to take over her piece of rent. And it was in the papers, and the plaintiff did not...
She did say that she was the one that said no.
She said, I don't want those two people. Well, then the onus really falls on her to mitigate her damages. Mm-hmm. And she had no proof that she went forward to try to get another roommate. Between the two of them, they may have had an agreement, but the dispute over rent really is the defendants and the landlords. Mm-hmm. She doesn't pay her rent, and if the plaintiff pays her half of the rent, the landlord is free to go against either or both of them.
Sure, because both their names were on
right in the lease.
Understood.
Case 2067, Garcia versus Taryn. All parties, please step forward.
Amari Garcia is suing fellow motorist April Taryn for damages from a motorcycle accident.
This is a case that's about an automobile-motorcycle collision. Each one of you claims that the other is responsible for the collision. Ms. Garcia, you were riding the motorcycle?
Yes, ma'am.
And you were in your car?
Yes.
Okay. And this happened on what date?
March 21st, 2022, around 3 p.m.
In what state?
California.
In the state of California, are you required to have insurance on a motorcycle?
Yes, Your Honor.
Just liability?
Liability if it's paid for in full, correct. Yes, Your Honor.
And were you insured on that date?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you were driving a car?
Yes.
And was your car insured on March 21st, 2022?
Not at the time.
So the answer is no?
No.
Did you have a valid driver's license on March 21st, 2022?
Yes.
From what state?
California.
What kind of car were you driving?
A 2011 Nissan Sentra.
Was it a new car for you, or did you have it for a while?
It's a new car. I purchased it 3 weeks prior to the incident.
And if you bought it 3 weeks before, how come you didn't have liability insurance?
I was looking for insurance, and plus, at the time, I hadn't received my paperwork. It was still in the other person's name at the used car dealership that I bought it from.
Your Honor,
I hadn't.
You know you're not supposed to be driving a car, Miss Taryn, without insurance.
Yes, I'm aware of that.
Okay. You wanted to say something?
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. I have proof that April Taryn purchased her vehicle February 8th, 2022. She drove uninsured for 41 days, and it was not from a lot. It was from someone off the street. I have the proof for that.
I'd like to see it.
Yes. Oh, thank you. For $2,050.
Well, this car that you registered, the selling price was $2,050, according to this.
No, it wasn't. And
well, I'm going to show you vehicle and transfer law. This is 2011 Sentra, and it was signed, but it's LLC. That's his company.
Okay.
So it wasn't off the street, but it said the selling price was $2,000. That's what this says.
I don't have my paperwork in my car.
I want to show this to her. I just want to get some basic facts first, and then I'm going to go to the incident.
But that's and
no, the person, the seller.
And you know, I have my paperwork in my car.
Well, but you understand that that's
I understand what you said because it's right there.
That's
yes.
Okay, we have a diagram. This happened on March 21st, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. You had no insurance, and you were traveling in the bike lane.
No, that is not true. I shared the lane of the car in the right. I would never go into a bike lane. That is disrespectful to the road and riders.
Just a second. Are you allowed to share a lane with a car and a motorcycle?
That is your right, yes.
I know Foothill. Is that where you were?
Yes, Your Honor.
And at a certain time during the day, Foothill becomes very trafficked.
Yes.
And the cars sometimes get stopped because there's a light, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Go over to there, Miss Garcia, and show me, please, where you were positioned before you say that you were traveling in the same lane as a car.
Your Honor, I was directly behind this car.
Okay.
Directly behind.
You were directly behind that car.
Yes.
And that car was stopped.
They were slowing to a stop.
No, they were stopped because they had to have been stopped because that's why you went around him.
They were slowing to a stop. By the time I got around here, they were stopped. I didn't want to veer into here. I was slowing down. I was around 25 miles per hour. This lane at the time was too close. So I shared this lane on this side.
Miss Garcia, I got it, Miss Garcia. You want me to appreciate the fact that you wanted to get around the stopped car and you wanted to continue to go straight, correct? You weren't turning. You wanted to go straight.
I was going straight, correct.
And so you want me to picture in this tiny mind of mine that instead of going into a perfectly clear bike lane, you inched your way at 25 miles an hour in the same lane as a stopped car.
Yes.
But
this diagram,
you know, I find that hard to believe, Miss Garcia. I really find that hard to believe. You may be in the right with regard to this, but I find it hard to believe.
The roads are very wide. I have the actual police photo document of that.
I'd like to see it.
Yes, Your Honor. Right here.
And I'd like to see the police report as well. Is there a police report?
It's attached to this.
Fine. Because as you were traveling straight, the defendant was making a left turn. She was making a left turn because the two cars there were stopped, and those were the only 2 traffic lanes there. Now, I don't know whether she could see whether it's a motorcycle or a bicycle traveling in the bike lane, but what happened was she was making a left turn. According to this, you went into her passenger side. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So where is the motorcycle now?
I no longer have it. The towing company, they sold it.
What are you driving around in now?
1995 Chevy Baville.
Atta girl!
Amari Garcia is accusing fellow motorist April Taryn of damaging her motorcycle. April claims Amari was illegally driving in the bike lane.
Who was in the car with you, Miss Taryn?
My son and his girlfriend.
One of them had an injury.
Yes. My son's girlfriend, she was in the driver's passenger side, and while I was turning into the lane, I just felt a crash and saw glass going into my car, and then she was cut.
Okay, and you had an injury to your knee?
Yes, I have several injuries, and I have photos as well.
You understand, Miss Taryn, that the police interviewed witnesses. The witnesses were in the stopped cars.
Yes.
And at the end of all of their interviewing process, they determined that you were the cause of the collision. That's what it says.
And I don't...
It says that you caused the collision by violating Vehicle and Traffic Law 21-8001, failure to yield when making a left turn. I determined the cause based upon the parties involved and the physical evidence. That's what the police determined. Okay, well, then that's an easy, based upon the police report, because each of you were going to tell 2 different stories about what happened that day. Police were there, they looked at the physical evidence, they looked at the injuries, they looked at the damage to the roadway, they interviewed independent witnesses, and that was their determination.
I understand, Judge, but the police report had some inconsistencies where, like, she was driving in the bicycle lane, which is against the law. And what I was doing, I was making the left turn, as you know. And these 2 front cars, which one of them was a witness.
Yes, that car paused to let you make a left turn.
Yes, both lanes. And I was...
No, you said both lanes.
Both lanes paused.
Well, that's what you say.
Yes.
That's what you say. That's not what this says.
See, but they both did. And as I was...
But I'm just telling you.
No, I know.
Yeah,
that's what
I'm just telling you. That's not what this is. That's what you say. There was nothing that prevented those 2 cars from going.
Exactly.
There wasn't a traffic light. There wasn't a stoplight at that spot.
Yes.
And there was heavy traffic.
Yes.
So it's your responsibility to make sure if you're making a left turn that you have to yield to all oncoming traffic. And so the fact that you didn't see her is really not relevant. And as long as you understand that this police report supports Miss Garcia's claim that you caused this accident by making a left turn when you shouldn't have been making a left turn, that's what this says. And that, you know, at the end of the day, it's an accident. That's why it's not called an on purpose. It's called an accident. Neither one of you anticipated it. As far as I'm concerned, Ms. Garcia, you're entitled to be compensated, but I'm going to suggest this to you. If I'm driving a motorcycle, which I would never do, just for me, I think it's wacky. I think there are enough crazy people driving around that I like about 2,000 pounds of steel around me, so that if somebody who is not paying attention and there's an accident, I like to be safe. My first car when I was 17, all my friends were getting these cute little cars, you know, that were convertibles, and my father bought me a 15-year-old blue and white Cadillac sedan. It was so embarrassing to drive around in that car. It was a boat. Oh, come on. Everybody else is getting these cute little Corvettes, even if they're used ones. And my father, who loved me a lot, said to me, sweetheart, if you get into the accident, I want you to come out unscathed. And this ensures that you got a shot if you get into an accident. And I feel better. So I'm just telling you, if you're going to drive a motorcycle, don't take shortcuts. I know this place on Foothill, and I know what happened here. You know, you wanted to go, there was no reason why you couldn't. That's why you drive a motorcycle, because you can get into tight places. But you look like an intelligent young woman.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Don't take chances. That was a chance. It could have been a lot worse. What was the damage to your motorcycle?
I have pictures. Would you like to see them, Your Honor?
I would.
I did look it up. Lane splitting motorcycles is legal in California, based on the California Highway Patrol.
Okay, no, I see the pictures. So where is the motorcycle now?
I no longer have it. The towing company, they sold it. They sold it for $70 they claim, and I got hit with collections afterwards. I have the bill for that if you'd like to see that.
How much did you pay for it?
$6,407.
Do you have the bill?
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
For my motorcycle, what I paid for, correct?
Yes, what you paid for it. What are you driving around in now?
A 1995 Chevy Baville.
Atta girl! Atta girl. Okay. I'm giving you the value of the motorcycle.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Which is $6,407. I'm not splitting whose fault this was, actually, but I'm not awarding you any punitive damages for her. She had injuries in her car. You were slightly injured, but both of you seem fine now. I don't think that you were careful enough when you were going straight and around that car that was stopped. But the defendant didn't have insurance, and she was cited by the police for violation of a traffic law. So I'm giving you the cost of your motorcycle.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Judgment for the plaintiff.
This court is adjourned.
So I actually ended up, after the car had made impact with me, the bike went that way. I went up into the air.
It was really frightening.
I hit the ground. I hit on my elbow.
I've never experienced that before.
I was really scared. I thought, like, oh, this is it. My legs are out.
And like I said, I was being cautious, and
thankfully I wasn't.
But it ended up in that kind of situation.
Definitely more safely as far as better gear, and, you know, like she said, don't take a shortcut or anything of that sort.
So I looked up lane splitting, and in California, it's one of the few states that allows it for motorcyclists. It does say inexperienced riders shouldn't attempt it because, like we see, it's very easy to get hit or for someone not to see you if you're splitting between lanes, but it is legal, so she wasn't in the wrong by lane splitting, but I think it was a sticky situation. You're behind a car, someone's turning.
What does it say if you're injured?
It does say on the Highway Patrol website that you're splitting at your own risk, so any injuries that happen are at your own risk.
So they say if you are lane splitting, it's not illegal, but if you have injuries as a result of an accident, if you're lane splitting, you're responsible for your own injuries.
It doesn't say it in a legal term that I could really stick to, but it says it's risky. We're acknowledging that it's risky. You have to assume the risk of lane splitting if that's what you choose to do.
Hi, xin chào các bạn. Chào mừng các bạn đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay chúng ta hãy cùng tô màu cho bức tranh về hình ảnh một chú bướm nhé. Chúng ta hãy cùng bắt đầu thôi nào. Mình sẽ lấy màu tím. Đâu ở đây? Mình sẽ lấy màu này cho vào viền.
Cái hôm nay mà xem nước biển.
Hi, xin chào các bạn, chào mừng các bạn đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay chúng ta hãy cùng tô màu cho bức tranh về hình ảnh một chú vẹt đang đậu trên cành cây nhé. Chúng ta hãy cùng bắt đầu thôi nào.
Em bé rồi mẹ.
Mẹ không mở biết đâu. Không mở cái gì cả, bố bảo không được xem kia điện thoại. Làm mắt. Thế có về muốn về bố đánh nhà mẹ cả con không? Mẹ thích cũng chả được. Đi làm về vẫn đánh. Giống như xưa biết ai đánh không? Chị bảo biết bên chưa ai biết không? Phía chị so thì học bài nấu học bài cả. Con học bài này dạy con học nhá. Dạy học nhá. Dạy chị o ai dạy màu.
Không.
Hi, xin chào các bạn. Chào mừng các bạn đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay chúng ta hãy cùng tô màu cho bức tranh về hình ảnh nàng công chúa nhé. Chúng ta hãy cùng bắt đầu thôi nào.
Rồi. Con lấy cái táo ăn ra.
Nếu hồi xưa chị mua quyển này thì không dùng. Ơ sáu. Cái này có từ tận lớp của em đến tận lớp 12 rồi.
Ừ.
Ai mua đây? Giá cái ăn là nhìn được. Chúng ta sẽ bắt đầu học thêm tiếng Anh. Của chị đấy. Mẹ ơi, mẹ mua đồ bữa sáng.
Miếng không mẹ em?
Có.
Ủa? Đấy rồi, nằm nhà mẹ ăn rồi đấy.
Hi, xin chào các bạn. Chào mừng các bạn đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay chúng ta hãy cùng tô màu cho bức tranh về hình ảnh một nàng công chúa đang đứng bên ban công nhé. Chúng ta hãy cùng bắt đầu thôi nào.
Mình sẽ tô tóc màu này.
Gì đấy? Bỏ ra. Không sang phòng tôi đi, sang phòng tôi có nhiều bố hơn. Sang phòng tôi đi, bật điều hòa lại đấy hả?
Hi, xin chào các bạn, chào mừng các bạn đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay chúng ta hãy cùng tô màu cho bức tranh về một cô gái, trên lưng là một chú gấu nhé. Chúng ta hãy cùng bắt đầu thôi nào.
Mình sẽ tô màu
Nhưng mua đi.
tô màu tím đây.
Tôm mà điện lên tôm ơi.
Hi, xin chào các bạn, chào mừng các bạn đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay chúng ta hãy cùng tô màu cho bức tranh về hình ảnh một cô gái rất là sành điệu như thế này nhé. Chúng ta hãy cùng bắt đầu thôi nào.
Tô áo màu cam. Thường thì sẽ tô màu này.
Hi, xin chào các bạn, chào mừng các bạn đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay chúng ta hãy cùng tô màu cho bức tranh về hình ảnh một cô gái ăn mặc rất là sexy nhé. Chúng ta hãy cùng bắt đầu thôi nào.
Mình sẽ tô trắng màu xanh. Áo ngoài mình sẽ tô màu xanh nước biển động.
Hi, xin chào các bạn. Chào mừng các bạn đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay chúng ta hãy cùng tô màu cho bức tranh về hình ảnh một cô gái đang chơi với chú chim ở bên cửa sổ nhé. Chúng ta hãy cùng bắt đầu thôi nào.
Mình sẽ tô tóc màu này. Không sao.
Hi, xin chào các bạn. Chào mừng các bạn đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay chúng ta hãy cùng tô màu cho bức tranh về hình ảnh một cô gái đang đi du lịch nhé. Chúng ta hãy cùng bắt đầu thôi nào.
Mình sẽ tô tóc màu đen. Mẹ rồi. Chiếc tôm màu này và áo.
Hi, xin chào các bạn, chào mừng các bạn đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay chúng ta hãy cùng tô màu cho bức tranh về hình ảnh người mẹ đang dạy con đọc sách nhé. Chúng ta hãy cùng bắt đầu thôi nào.
Tô tóc màu đen. máy. Gái mình sẽ tô màu hồng. Áo của mẹ màu vàng.
Hi, xin chào các bạn. Chào mừng các bạn đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay chúng ta hãy cùng tô màu cho bức tranh về hình ảnh một chú thỏ đang chơi xích đu nhé. Chúng ta hãy cùng bắt đầu thôi nào.
Mình sẽ tô màu nâu vào xích đu. Sẽ tô tay chú thỏ màu hồng. trước họ sẽ làm màu.
Bố Hy là của con.
Hi, xin chào các bạn, chào mừng các bạn đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay chúng ta hãy cùng tô màu cho bức tranh về hình ảnh hai chú gấu đang ngồi uống nước nhé. Chúng ta hãy cùng bắt đầu thôi nào.
Sẽ tô màu này vào ô.
Ố, Huỳnh Lập này. Cũng mến ra 2 ngày một đêm luôn ạ.
Ra 2 ngày một đêm đâu.
Đây là gì? Hoắc tiên sinh, mai đi cắt tóc với chị em cắt tóc gì? Sao?
Tùy mai.
Em cắt layer rồi, hay cắt mày lại? Chị!
Chịu.
Chị cứ chịu ấy nhỉ, chị có phải chị em không vậy?
Không.
Hả?
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 Em điếc cả.
Cái gì vậy? Chị em thân thiết sinh ra máu.
Thôi, câm mồm đi.
Chị không đến, chị lại đấy à? Chị thích đến. Một lần sau chị vô đến đi.
Mà về luôn à?
Không, em phải đến khá lâu rồi.
Dạ?
Em phải có xe, xong rồi là xe, em phải có cái xe máy. Em tưởng là không biết xe máy của ai, thế là thấy chị Chi ra đi xe máy.
Dạ, có nhìn thấy ngoài không?
Đi, phải có bọn em ngồi chơi.
Mày chơi đấy á?
Sang đi đến trường.
Đâu?
Ở nhà. Thế là em ra bảo hỏi.
Có chị Phương, chị Dung không?
Không. Kiểu nhà các chị làm ăn này, không được đến không em đến được. Có cái trai đi đến nhưng mà không dám lên chơi.
tô màu hồng vào đây.
Hi, xin chào các bạn, chào mừng các bạn đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay chúng ta hãy cùng tô màu cho bức tranh về hình ảnh hai cô nàng ăn mặc rất là sành điệu nhé. Chúng ta hãy cùng bắt đầu thôi nào.
Oh no. Áo trong là màu vàng. Và màu cam. Và tím. Và áo này.
Hi, xin chào các bạn. Chào mừng các bạn đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay chúng ta hãy cùng tô màu cho bức tranh về hình ảnh một cô nàng đang mặc một chiếc váy dạ hội nhé. Chúng ta hãy cùng bắt đầu thôi nào.
Mình sẽ tô tóc màu nâu. Đi trong váy. Hi, xin chào các bạn, chào mừng các bạn đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay chúng ta cùng tô màu bức tranh một chú cá nha. Mình sẽ lấy màu xanh này, tô vào vây. sau này tôi và thân kể. Vậy là chúng ta đã hoàn thành xong bức tranh một chú cá. Và đây là thành quả ngày hôm nay. Hẹn gặp lại các bạn ở những video tiếp theo.